Hey guys, we are continuing on the serious trend. I really wish I could avoid making this video because this really brings me no joy. Because I don't know if I can make YouTube videos anymore. Or rather, I don't know if I'll be able to make YouTube videos for much longer. Because my government wants to sabotage me! And also the rest of the Canadian YouTube sphere, but that's... okay. Cool heads. So in case you guys don't know, I'm from Canada. You know, up there, slightly above the United States. We have our mooses and all that, all the Canadian shit. And recently, there's a bill going through the Parliament right now that threatens Canadian YouTube. It's called BC11. Now, I can't hope to summarize the whole thing because it's a long bill, but here's the most important parts. This bill will allow the government to regulate YouTube along with a lot of other online streaming services and force them to promote Canadian content. Now you might be saying, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem is this. This bill would bring YouTube under the CRTC, which is very powerful in Canada since it controls most of the entertainment in Canada. In Canada, the radio has to play a good chunk of it Canadian music. And also they have complete control over the Canadian TV and film industry. And the internet was the one thing they didn't have under their belt. But now if this bill passes, well, it will. Now, as for the ramifications, I'll leave a link to several people who have talked about this video, like JJ McCullen, some ordinary gamers, and YouTube themselves that says why this bill is bad. First of all, it will not promote Canadian content despite saying it will promote Canadian content, since it's not enough for a YouTube video to be made by a Canadian. There's a lot of bullshit that has to go through with it, which only applies to the big corporations like the CBC, CTV, and all that stuff. So my content and many other Canadian content will be suppressed, and this bill will make it much, much harder for me to gain a following, since, it's kind of hard when you're being actively suppressed. Not only that, it would mess with the algorithm too much on YouTube, TikTok, and several others. As TikTok wrote to the Minister of Cultural Heritage, that in order to do what this bill is asking them to do, they would need to change the algorithm, meaning that it would fundamentally change how it operates for everyone. So, in effect, this bill not only affects Canadians, it will affect everyone because you can't exactly isolate one country and say, okay, that's how it works. No, you'll have to rework the whole system. And, I don't think a lot of companies want to just be regulated by a bullshit law, which is meant to regulate the internet for 30 million people, which is already terrible as it is. But, no one wants to bow down to what one country, no one wants to bow down to one government just telling them what to do. That's insane, if I do say so myself. It'll also force Canadians to be recommended videos they might not care about, which, it's kind of annoying. I don't give a shit about whatever a French Canadian YouTuber is doing. If they're successful, I'm happy for them, but it's not my type of content. I'm not interested in whatever narrow thing the CRTC considers to be Canadian. I just want to watch good YouTube videos. And you know what? A lot of those things are not Canadian. Wouldn't fall under this bill. Bear in mind, I don't know if a lot of people have talked about this, but it hasn't been talked about a lot. This is just speculation, but what about services that are strictly, not really Canadian at all? What about, say, are very closed off? What about stuff like Funimation, which is, meant to be a service for watching anime from Japan? How would that work? How would you force Funimation to show Canadian content for stuff that isn't Canadian? You see how bad this bill is? Your bill has to be terrible if YouTube and TikTok have to say it's a bad idea and everyone's behind them. Yeah, that's how bad this bill is. And I don't want to stop doing YouTube. And this is just me speaking more from my personal end. I don't really want to stop doing YouTube. Like this year, I've been gaining a lot of subscribers, mostly because of that endgame video. But I actually think I could get to 1,000 by the end of the year, or maybe even better. But this bill threatens that. It threatens me because my government wants to promote some legacy media bullshit because we can't take our people watching shit that isn't ours. We have to regulate the internet. I'm surprised that other countries haven't talked about how bad this bill is. I'm surprised YouTube hasn't gone to like the president of the United States and say, "Hey, Canada's being mean. Can you please tell them to stop?" This is like horrible stuff. Maybe I'm wrong about the Funimation and YouTube going to Joe Biden and say, "Hey, can you help us?" But even wrong about that, this is still a terrible bill because all it does will just empower older traditional media, which, by the way, not a lot of younger people watch. And you know why no one wants to watch it? Because it's nothing really. It's boring, bland nothingness. Not to say there's not great work by CBC, or CTV, or Global. There's probably a lot of good work by them, but no one wants to be forced to watch stuff they don't want to watch, or be recommended stuff, or have their videos suppressed because it's not Canadian enough. My only wish for this entire video, if you made it this far, because oh my god, I've been rambling a lot and ranting. I ask any of you who know any Canadians to tell them to watch the video by YouTube creators about why this bill is bad, and then in the description of the video, go tell those Canadians to write to their local MP and tell them why this is a bad bill for both YouTubers, people who just like watching YouTube, and just your regular Canadian. I'm sorry, very much rambling. I'm just very stressed out. I've been stressed about a lot of things this past few weeks, and this bill isn't helping much. And if it passes, well, I'm looking to my options right now. But I'm just going to be completely real with you guys. This is just going to be a full-on now. No, this is going to be a full-on. If you're not interested in the rest of this video, go tell any Canadian you know about this bill and tell them to stop it. Tell them to call their local MP and tell them this is bad. Justin Trudeau, you have betrayed the Canadians. You have betrayed the people you were promised to help out. You have betrayed them for big business. You sold out Canadian YouTubers' livelihood just because either A, you guys can't handle Canadians watching other things that aren't Canadian, or B, the corporate overlords that rule over you are telling you to stop Canadians from watching other stuff, and now you have betrayed everything. Just wow, Trudeau. Just wow. Trudeau, I voted for you multiple times because the Conservatives were just not very appealing to me. And, wow, I feel like an idiot now because you have just betrayed us. You just betrayed me. You just betrayed every single Canadian out there. How dare you claim you fight for Canadians when you're trying to suppress YouTubers? How dare you? Andrew Jagmeet Singh, how dare you side with it? How dare you? You and Trudeau are traitors. Both the Liberals and NDP have betrayed Canada for some corporate overlords. Some legacy media bullshit. For what? Because we weren't watching Canadian content enough? If somehow this bill fails to become law by a wide margin, I don't care. My vote has been sold. I'm voting for Conservatives next time. I don't even like the Conservatives very much. But your bill is so bad. Your bill is just plain atrocious that you're making me vote for a party that I have no love for. I don't even like anyone on the right. I don't even know how that's even possible. You guys are so incompetent, you turned a left-leaning guy like me to vote for Conservatives. That's how bad you guys are at your jobs, and that's how much you have fumbled when it comes to Canadians. You have failed, Trudeau. And I will make sure that you are not winning next time. I'm going to make sure. Because you are a traitor. People think you're a traitor because, of the mask mandates. No, that's not why you're a traitor. You're a traitor because you have betrayed Canadians' rights to the internet. You have sold us out to corporate overlords. That's what makes you a traitor. Because that's what you are, Trudeau. You are a traitor. And for the rest of your life, when you leave office, and after you retire, and after 100 years, you will always be known as a traitor. After you leave office, after your career is over, people will know you as a traitor to everything what Canada stands for. So, Trudeau, you're a bad leader. You're a bad person. I can't believe I'm saying this. I hope the Conservatives just floor wipe you guys. Because I assure you, there's no way you're winning in 2025. I'm going to tell everyone I know to go vote blue. You guys are not winning 2025. And I know that one day people will see you as who you are. A spineless coward. This is Arcwinder, signing off.